Today, right now, we're sitting here with Dan Farfaglia. And Dan, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself first to start off with?
Okay, 49 years old. I grew up in this area. I was gone for a little while because when I was in my 20s, I realized that there was a world outside of Fulton and Oswego County. And so I spent 13 years living in Albany, working for the state assembly. And after a few years there, I realized that, my heart was never there, and I wanted to come home and give back to my community. And finally able to do that about 10 years ago when Senator Albertine got into office. I spent a couple of years assisting his office over at the Oswego State campus. And so since then, I've worked for the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, and I became an elected official myself for the first time in January of 2012. And it was really strange because after so many years of helping out everybody else, it was a little odd to see my own name in the voting booth for that first time. But I was happy because I was here, home, where my heart was. And I had a 2-year-old when I first came back. He's now 12, starting 7th grade tomorrow. A little hard to believe. And I've been a single parent for the last 9 years, but it's been going well, and I have my family here to help when needed. And that, to me, is what's very important. So I'm finishing up my last year in the legislature this year. So I got like 4 more months left on my term, and I decided to give that up and run for mayor of Fulton instead. And of all the candidates that are in this race, I'm the only one that had any previous elected experience. I mean, when somebody is interviewing for the job, that's always the first question that an interviewer asks. And hopefully that's the same kind of question that the voters are asking. And let's see, so before going off to Albany for as long as I was there, I was in college. I graduated from SUNY Morrisville in '93. And I also, worked at Mama Gina's Pizza place for a little while, Plainville Turkey Farm. And that pretty much summarizes how I got here today.
You even answered my second question, is what kind of qualifications do you bring to this position to be the Fulton's next mayor? What kind of positions do you feel, what do you feel that you're going to do once you become elected, or should you become elected?
Well, the first thing I got to do is go after all of these zombie housing that are in here. I spent 3 years on the Oswego County Land Bank, which takes homes, we refurbish them, and we get them back on the tax rolls. And it was an honor to be on that board for as long as I was, and now I'd like to be able to go back to that by making sure that every home in Fulton that can be livable gets fixed up so that it can become inhabited with families, and get them back on the tax roll so that way we keep the taxes stabilized, because we're already very close to our constitutional tax limit, and we can't afford to go any higher. And as a homeowner, I don't want my taxes to go any higher either. So at the local level, whatever may divide us philosophically is put aside, because we always try to work together to fulfill our mandated obligations, as well as keep the sacrifices to a minimum.
Anything else that you want to put out there that you feel that you can change or you can make better, or continue a process that's already going on?
We need Fulton to become more business friendly. I mean, we have a code department that is certainly looking out on behalf of the city, but we also need to be able to work together to bring more businesses in. I mean, I know of a couple of instances where the person who bought the property, one of them said that, who is the contractor, that he is never building something in Fulton ever again because of the cumbersome process it is to do what he was trying to do. And there's no reason why it should be if all of the towns around us have a much more easier process.
Can you just expand a little bit on that? I don't mean to interrupt you, but can you
Yeah.
expand a little bit on what was the processes, or what did that contractor feel was inappropriate or should be fixed? What be specific?
Well, if I remember correctly, he said that he needed a permit for like every room in the house, as opposed to one permit for like the entire building. And there are times when another owner who came and reopened a business here, you know, they fixed up a bathroom, and his business that he owned in another town, you know, the code enforcement there was willing to work with him and give him more time, as opposed to being so stringent on every single detail. And that just makes things a lot more difficult and makes people not want to, you know, invest in Fulton.
Okay.
So we really need to, you know, make it a little easier, you know, for businesses and for some homeowners.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to bring up?
I'd like to take the two committees that are working on the Lake Mianawana, one for the city of Fulton and one for Granby. And I've been in part of the one for Granby now for almost a decade. I think we need to put the two of them together, so that way we can all be on the same page at all times, as opposed to two committees doing, you know, different things at all times.
Can they be combined together? I mean, there's no legal or whatever ramifications.
I hope so. You
Okay.
know, but I guess we'll have to
towards it.
work on that, or maybe they can continue to stay separate. Maybe one person oversee both of them. I don't know, but we need to do more for that lake, because I used to swim in that lake when I was a kid, and I would like my son to be able to swim in there at some time in his lifetime. I mean, it's been, you know, 30 years or more since the lake has been closed for recreational purposes. Not only a great asset, but really be a boon for the community, not only economically, but spiritually as well. A little more morale.
Family memories.
Yeah, exactly. More family memories. DRI, I was very, very happy that Fulton was awarded that, because they certainly need all the help that we can get at this point. You know, but unfortunately, some of those projects are only partially funded by the DRI. We need to get more money to complete it. Like one example would be the broadband initiative for the city of Fulton. I mean, it's going to cost like $500,000 to do, and we were given $100,000 towards that. So we still got to come up with $400,000 in order to complete it. I mean, it would be nice if those numbers can be reversed, you know.
True, very true.
But we'll have to work on that when the time comes.
But you see the importance in the broadband, though. You would like to see that part of it succeed, though, correct?
Oh, yeah,
Am I correct in
absolutely,
saying- okay.
absolutely.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just making.
So, yeah, we need to work together with other local governments, more collaboration, and work with the school district as well.
Okay, perfect.
So I think that about covers it, but yeah, cleaning up the neighborhoods is the big thing. I mean, one of my biggest accomplishments in the legislature was getting a tax break for home improvements. And the way that works is that you make an improvement on your home, you're not assessed at a higher rate. It almost immediately gets phased in over an 8-year period. I mean, there was already one on the books for businesses, and then just before the residential one, which we passed, there was one for mixed use that was passed, and we did the residential one afterwards, and proudly my caucus made that permanent about a year ago.
Good.
So we just need to get the word out more that is out there for people to use, and hopefully that would, you know, spur growth and, you know, jobs and keep the taxes stabilized.
All right. Well, Dan, I want to thank you for coming out today.
Okay, I hope I've
and-
given you enough material to work with.
Well, you've given it to our readers,
Okay.
okay? And that's what's really important, so that they heard it right from your mouth. And that's really the whole key to this, and hearing from all the candidates. I'd like to thank everybody for reading Oswego County Today, and we look forward to October 3rd and having a great debate. Thanks again, Dan.
Okay, thank you.